What if the Hunter Association was never actually created for exploration? I mean, really think about it. What if the brutal hunter exam, those highly coveted elite licenses, and the world's absolute strongest hunters are all serving a heavily guarded hidden purpose? A purpose that literally has nothing to do with discovering our known world, but everything to do with preparing humanity for a terrifying threat lurking just beyond it.
All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're investigating some of the deepest, darkest lore in the entire Hunter x Hunter universe. We're going to pull apart the official records, examine the terrifying reality of the Dark Continent, and uncover a conspiracy that frames Chairman Netero not just as a quirky martial arts master, but as the grand architect of humanity's survival. But to understand the true scale of this secret, we first need to strip away the organization's public-facing mask. Which brings us to Section 1, the Adventurer's Facade. Notice the completely jarring contrast between what the public thinks a hunter is and what it actually takes to become one. The public perception on the left, it's deceptively simple. Hunters are seen as these licensed elites tracking down secret treasures, rare beasts, and going on breezy, glamorous adventures. But then you look at the exam reality on the right. In the very first phase, candidates are literally dropping dead. We see this incredibly dark world hiding just beneath a brightly colored exterior. I mean, we witness Killwa's cold-blooded murder of an opponent using nothing but his fingernails, and Gon's vicious, self-mutilating sacrifice just to secure his license. The mortality rate is, quite frankly, extreme. And that brings us to this staggering figure. According to the association's own data, the success rate of the annual Hunter exam is less than 1 in 100,000. To put that into perspective, that's like taking a completely packed, massive football stadium and only letting one person walk out with a license. Why would a simple adventuring guild need such a severe, brutal filter? Why intentionally design a test where the vast majority of applicants will either die, be permanently maimed, or go insane from hallucinogenic sap in a place like the Swindler's Swamp? Well, the answer starts to reveal itself when we look at the aftermath of the exam. Moving into Section 2, Hunters Above the Law. So once a candidate somehow survives this 1 in 100,000 meat grinder, they are handed a hunter license, which grants absolutely unprecedented privileges. We're talking access to highly restricted locations that regular citizens can't even get near. They operate with extraordinary legal freedoms, possessing what essentially amounts to a VIP pass to bypass normal judicial proceedings. They receive immense financial benefits. Literally just selling the license can set someone up for life. And they hold unprecedented global influence, with top-tier hunters actually participating in global politics and advising world leaders. They are, in every single sense of the word, elevated completely above the law. Which leads us to an absolutely crucial question. Why would an official, globally recognized organization willingly hand over a literal license to kill to someone like Hisoka? During the exam, Hisoka actually plays at being an examiner, murdering a bunch of applicants in the swamp. The real examiner, Satotes, knows this is happening, yet he basically just gives him a warning and lets him proceed. The association intentionally accepts, protects, and empowers highly dangerous, morally gray individuals. They definitely aren't looking for good citizens. They are looking for something else entirely. And that something else is the true barrier to entry. Let's look at Section 3, the secret Nen exam. Now, you guys already know about Nen, the technique that allows wielders to control their own internal life energy, or aura, and apply it as a physical force. Because it's absurdly powerful and extremely disruptive to normal society, its very existence is kept completely hidden from the general public. But, as we know, acquiring control over your aura flow is the mandatory, highly classified final step to becoming a true professional hunter. The association officially claims this is because hunters need to be deterrents for crime. But honestly, looking at these exceptional human weapons, that explanation totally falls apart. You don't need a sociopath like Hisoka or a literal assassin like Illumi Zoldyck to write a parking ticket or stop a bank robbery. The association deliberately cultivates elite survivors through extreme adversity. They are forcefully prying open the aura nodes of the strongest 0.0001% of humanity, pushing them through lethal trials and creating exceptional human weapons. They aren't creating a police force, guys. They're forging an army. Section 4. The Threat Beyond. The Dark Continent. An army is really only necessary if there's a war coming, and the true planetary-scale problem that these Nen users are secretly being prepared for, it lies completely off our map. Our known human world is basically just a microscopic set of islands in Lake Mobius entirely surrounded by the Dark Continent, a place of unimaginable scale and absolute hostility. 300 years ago, Don Freecss traveled the shoreline alone, writing The Journey to the New World.
200 years ago, the disaster rate from these expeditions was so catastrophic that the V5, the Union of the World's Most Powerful Nations, established the Inviolability Treaty, strictly prohibiting any travel there whatsoever. And at some point in the undocumented past, Chairman Isaac Netero himself made an unsanctioned voyage alongside Linny Horstover and Zig Zoldyck. But get this. Despite the global ban, over the past few centuries, there have been 149 recorded, unsanctioned attempts to voyage to the Dark Continent. Only 5 were successful. Out of all those expeditions, only 28 individuals survived, and a mere 3 of those survivors actually managed to clear the post-evaluation test and return to their daily lives. That is a survival rate of 0.04%. The continent doesn't just resist human life, it actively and aggressively annihilates it. And the handful of people who did make it back, well, they didn't come back alone. At the end of each of the 5 successful V5 voyages, humanity dragged back one of the 5 great calamities. From the ancient labyrinth city, they brought back Bryon, a deadly botanical weapon. From the Mimbo Republic expedition, a Laery, a literal gaseous lifeform. From the swamps came the two-tailed snake Hellbell, which wiped out 99% of its own expedition. From a steep mountain range came Pap, a beast that literally keeps humans as pets. And from the south shore came the Zobei disease, a horrifying immortality sickness. But here is the absolute most terrifying part of this entire explainer. These calamities, they weren't accidents. As Ging Freecss reveals, the guides force the voyagers to bring back the 5 calamities as warnings. The gatekeepers of the Dark Continent intentionally infect the survivors. They are literally using human explorers as delivery vectors to send A-grade biological and ecological threats back to our known world as a systemic penalty for our imperialist arrogance. This one realization completely reframes the entire purpose of the Hunter Association. Which brings us to our final section. Humanity's first defense line. Because guys, the blowback has already happened. Sure, the Zobei disease is locked inside an underground containment vault, but as Jinger noted, victims of both the gaseous life form AI and the human-keeping beast Pop already exist in our known world. These planetary threats have breached containment. They are active right now. The imperialist extraction missions of the V5 fundamentally failed, bringing world-ending ecology right to our very doorstep. During his expedition, Chairman Netero witnessed this bizarre biosphere firsthand and stated, "This place is too big. It's off the charts." He realized right then and there that traditional human concepts of combat and victory, punching harder, being a faster martial artist, they are utterly meaningless against self-sustaining ecological disasters. I mean, you can't punch a gaseous life form. You can't roundhouse kick an immortality virus. And this brings us to the climax of our investigation. Netero returned from the Dark Continent knowing that humanity was completely defenseless against what was out there, and worse, what had already been brought back. He needed to build a system to find the absolute genetic and spiritual anomalies of the human race. The Hunter Association is not an adventuring club. It is a brutal, generational filter designed to prepare humanity for the ultimate ecological blowback. They need Nen masters capable of the impossible, because the impossible is already bleeding into the known world. It completely shifts your perspective on every single exam, every license, and every brutal trial we've seen these characters endure, doesn't it? The association isn't pushing them to discover the unknown. They're pushing them to survive what is already coming for us. So, I'll leave you with this to ponder today. Is the Hunter Association simply a guild of adventurers, or has it secretly spent centuries preparing humanity for what lies beyond the known world? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and as always, keep questioning the lore.